How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the channel. We're going to be talking about Frozen, not the animated film, the film from 2010 that I'm pretty sure not a lot of people have heard of. The film stars Shawn Ashmore, Emma Bell, and Kevin Zegers, and tells the story of three skiers that are trapped 50 feet above the ground, forced to make life or death choices to survive. Now, I'm a big fan of the one location setting because you can get a little bit more creative, whether you're stuck inside of a house, you're stuck inside of a phone booth, or in this scenario, trapped 50 feet in the air in the freezing cold, and you have no idea what you're going to do. Those types of movies are the movies that are really appealing to me because you can easily do a lot of creative stuff, whether it's going to just be a survival of the fittest or you have a ticking clock. And when it came down to Frozen, I watched this movie about 2 years after it had came out. I rented it from the library, didn't really know what it was about. This was my first time watching it in over 12 years, I believe. And I think this is a pretty decent movie. Now, I am somebody that doesn't ski. I have never been skiing. I've never worked in a resort. So if you are a skier or if you've worked in a resort, you're probably going to have to suspend your disbelief so much in this movie because I know that in a scenario like this, a lot of this probably would never happen. But this isn't a real life situation. This is a movie. And as far as the movie goes, I thought this was pretty engaging. I think the three leads in this movie do a pretty fine job. It's been a hot minute since I've seen Emma Bell and Shawn Ashmore in a film. So seeing them in this, I thought they worked together. The characters in here aren't really the things that you're going for. You're going for the situation that they're put in, where they're suspended 50 feet in the air. And from what I read, they didn't use a lot of CGI or green screen. This was all shot practically in Utah. So seeing all the cascading mountains, seeing how beautiful they were shot and looked, I thought was a huge plus. The characters here are nothing to write home about. For the most part, Shawn Ashmore is a bit of a dick to Emma Bell's character. He doesn't like that she's intruding on his and Kevin Zegers. I do apologize if I butchered the last name, but he's not really impressed that she's joining them on this road trip, and he's kind of a dick to her, and I don't think she deserved the hate. I get where he's coming from, but he still didn't need to be a dick to her, and you kind of feel bad for her, especially when it comes down to the situation that they're all put in. They're all put in this situation where you're basically in the survival of the fittest mode. You're trapped 50 feet in the air with nobody around, nobody can hear you, nobody knows that you are on top of this mountain, and so as soon as we are put into the survival mode, I feel like that is where this movie actually starts to get a little bit more intriguing and a little bit more interesting for the viewer. There are a lot of moments in here where you're faced with what will you do in this situation? Would you jump off? Would you wait? Would you freeze to death? Me personally, I'm scared of heights, so freezing to death would probably be the more logical situation for me. But the way that we get from point A to point B, and as soon as we see the first bone snap, that is where I was easily locked in and a little bit more interested because I really like the practical effects that we have in here when it comes down to the bones breaking and how it looks. Everything about this movie looks fantastic, and I really like the way that the scenario was painted. Is this one of my favorite films of all time? Absolutely not. I can name 100 other movies that are better than this, but as far as a survival of the fittest type of situation, I think it works in this narrative way. And like I said, you have to suspend your disbelief so much if you are somebody that skis or somebody that works at a resort, because from what I read, a lot of the situation that would happen in this movie in the real world wouldn't have happened. That's kind of where you have to suspend your disbelief. As far as a one location thriller goes, the survival of the fittest type of quota that we have here, I think works to keep you intrigued and invested, and I think it works pretty well. But those are my thoughts on Frozen. Have you guys checked it out? Have you heard of this movie aside from the Disney animated film? Go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comments below and let me know. If you were in this situation, what would you do?